Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Welcome to Game Over Toronto, everybody. If you're watching this video and there's only two of us, it's because the Leafs were not able to close it out tonight. And we'll be returning to Tampa Saturday for the second chance at closing out the series and moving on to the second round. But the Leafs fall tonight in Game 5 to Tampa 4-2 with an empty netter. They do a very early goalie pull. They get one back. Austin Matthews looks very relieved, and they unfortunately can't put a second one in with the empty net. Welcome to Game Over Toronto. If it is your first time here, my name is Lauren Williamson. On the other side of this handsome screen is handsome Harnish Patel. Harnish, what emoji would you use to explain your feelings right now?
Pain.
Yeah.
I'm
not mad.
So
I'm just
hard
disappointed.
To put words. I know it's so hard to put this to words because the whole day, the last 2 days, we had a 2-day gap between the last 3 days, game and this game. Yeah, I was so hyped just thinking about it. The Leafs playing Game 5 at home in a sold-out arena, Scotiabank. You see the fans going wild out there. You see the fans in Maple Leaf in the tailgate. You see the passion that the fans have online. Being able to clutch it out and win it at home is huge.
It's the dream,
huge,
and they can still do it. They can still do it. Let's
hope they don't go to Game 7.
Listen,
No.
the Corgi said it's gonna go to Game 7.
But it was just the last 5 minutes specifically when they pulled their goaltender. That was an insane last 5 minutes. They really played with their heart on their sleeves. They were tough. They were fast. They were playing smart, and they played like the better team in that moment. Right.
Yep.
We got a little lucky where one of the empty net shots, I guess, hit the crossbar.
Traded posts at both ends, right?
Exactly. And then the Leafs were able to bring it back into one, right? Matthews scores, and then we're within one. 3 minutes 33 seconds left, right? You have enough time to get something going, and you can do it. That's enough time. We've seen the comeback the last game after going down 4-1 and ended up winning the game. We can do it again. But
maybe the difference in this one is that we get Vasilevskiy of this game and not the Vasilevskiy of the last two.
Yeah, because he was on something tonight.
Yes,
he was on something tonight.
Yes, and now before we get into the game anymore, let's have a quick word from our sponsors because I know that we want to just go off. So let's talk about this. Get in on the action and make your bet with Sports Interaction. Every hit, every shot, every goal from all your favorite teams and players with competitive odds, the best live in play, and more ways than ever to get into the game. Like Minute Madness, our exclusive game with so many opportunities to win by the minute. Download the app in Ontario, use the QR code at the bottom of the screen, or head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN to get started. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Yeah. Vasilevskiy was the best player on both teams today.
Oh,
for sure.
Isn't it crazy to see the stark difference between the guy? Like in the last game, right? He's letting everything off. He's letting everything go from distance. Everything's hitting the back of the net, especially those tips and whatnot. And we saw, I can't remember who the analyst is that's on the Sportsnet broadcast right now that worked with Tampa. He mentioned it as well that is a weakness of Vasi.
Yep.
And today, complete different player.
Yep.
He played like the Vasi of old.
The one that happens after Game 4, right? And, Riley does score. He gets the first goal of the game. The whole building erupts like, oh my gosh, I was so jazzed. 5 minutes and 47 seconds in to make it 1-0 from Tavares and Nyes getting his second point.
That's a huge thing. Tavares, after all the flack that he got the last game, he's the one that drives his play.
Yep.
He makes the pass to himself off the board, sticks it, and he keeps it, and 3 Bolts players are on him throughout that whole play, and that gives the chance, or that gives the opening for Wiley
to
move
right
snipe
in.
it.
Yep, and he puts it in, and it was the goalie's go chants were basically vibrating the camera, like the whole arena was jacked. But what happens 25 seconds later, Harnish? What happened 25 seconds later?
Tampa reminds you that they're the Tampa Bay freaking Lightning, and they're not going home without a fight.
Yep.
Right?
And for the
There's
third
a
time,
reason why this. Yeah. there's a reason why this team has had the success that they've had recently.
And for the third time this series, Tampa scores within 90 seconds of the Leafs scoring a goal. It happened the odd game, and when I say the odd game, I mean it happened in game 1, game 3, and game 5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what kind of statistical anomaly that was, or if that was on your bingo card for tonight. Congratulations. Yeah, listen, it has been a problem for the Leafs all season, not only the playoffs, but allowing goals within a minute and a half of scoring, right?
Yeah,
it's been a prolific problem all season.
Yeah, you saw the look on Riley. I mean, the elation when he scored that goal, and literally 30 seconds later, the announcers couldn't even announce the Riley goal.
Yep.
And they panned to his face, and just pure, like,
yep.
He had no emotion. He was just looking like, what the hell just happened?
Yep.
Everything that he worked for getting the team ahead, erased.
Gone.
Erased.
In the snap of a finger, gone. And it's
and who started that off? Who caused that issue? A name that's going to be mentioned quite a bit. He had quite a bit of issues this game.
Yes. The one and only Justin Hall, the man that
everyone's favorite player.
Someone
right?
in the crowd outside of Maple Leaf Square had a sign, Hall for Norris. Unfortunately, my friend Hall has been on the ice, and this was at the beginning of the game.
Did he have a Tampa jersey on, or
no? But there was somebody with a Tampa jersey on when I was there the other day. Hall before tonight. This is before tonight. This will be worse now. Hall has been on the ice for 72.2% of the Leafs' goals against so far in this postseason. 13 of 18 goals that have been scored on the Leafs, Justin Hall's been on the ice. And tonight, he gets burned again, not only by his lack of foot speed, but by being out of position because he was cheating for offense again. And you can do that if you're Cale Makar, because you're fast enough to get past just about anybody that's not named Connor McDavid. Justin Hall, you are not Cale Makar, so please stop doing that. Please stop doing that, because that shot, the Asymir goal, is not the Asymir goal. The Cirelli goal
the Cirelli goal
is it's that sucks the air right back out of the room, right? Like the arena was bumping and it was crazy and you could feel it. And Curtis from Alberta was there, and my cousin won Ford Fanatic tickets to go. And people were lining up. There was a line 200 meters long, 15 minutes before the gates were even open, because people were chanting "Go Leafs Go" during warm-ups because of how jacked we all were. And I feel like we really did believe to some degree, and I am also guilty of this, that if we just believed hard enough that the Leafs were just going to do the thing tonight and maybe not have to go back to Tampa, because I don't want to go back to Tampa, and now we have to.
Yeah, I saw those ticket prices. I think it was like $560 or something for the cheapest ones, and those are in an obstructed view.
Yeah.
The fans were definitely out, and they were ready for a win tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Hall, because that play was egregious. I was so furious.
It was bad.
Like, I could not believe that this is a play that happened from an NHLer. Like, he's been in the league for how long?
Long enough to know better.
He's played with the Leafs for how long?
Long enough.
This was insane. So yeah, let's talk about that. Okay, so the play starts off with Hagel. He collects the loose puck from the Tampa zone, and as he skates into the neutral zone, Hall mistimes a check. He mistimes a hit, and Hagel's able to escape. Completely mistimed. Like, it was just, I don't understand how you're a couple seconds behind on that play. But on top of that, so during that miss hit or that miss check, Hall loses a stick, right? So what do you do in these situations? You know that they have an off-man rush. You know that they have a player up. You don't go for the stick. You go for the man. You play the body. You clear the front of the net. You use your body in that situation. No, he goes and he picks up his stick, and he completely loses Hagel. They have two guys right in front of Sammy, and what's Sammy supposed to do? They get a rebound goal, right? How do you leave someone open that hard?
With time.
This isn't. This is stuff that's drilled into you when you're a kid. Like, how do you make those stupid plays? I don't understand. It happens again and again. It's just stupid plays where you're not using your head in these situations. The second goal, again, another issue with Hall. But
gets beside him.
I don't know what you do in these situations.
You do something that it seems like Sheldon Keefe is not willing to do, and you consider having someone other than someone named Justin Hall in the lineup.
I agree.
Because I'm not saying Timothy Liljegren is going to be the answer to all of the problems, or that he is not going to make mistakes. But Timothy Liljegren is significantly faster than Justin Hall is. So, I would say in that situation, if you're having a foot race, I would rather have Timothy Liljegren, who is maybe a little bit faster. And that is something that I have noticed through this whole series, is the fact that the Leafs are noticeably slower than a lot of Tampa is, especially on the defensive side.
When you got two old guys.
To be fair, what you said about wanting to take the body, I want to give a special shout out to Jake McCabe tonight, who had a couple of really solid stand-up hits more than once in the game that really, stopped a good opportunity for Tampa. And that's a moment where you're like, please, why can't you be more like your brother? That's one of those moments, okay? I know they're not siblings, but I digress. Why can't you be more like Jake McCabe in that moment and make that decision? Like, some people are really good with stick lifts, and there was a couple of really good takeaways this game by the Leafs. But, Justin, you are not fast enough to make that kind of play, and you are not agile enough, nor do you have the hand-eye coordination to be able to have the takeaway power that some other defenders do. So please stop trying to wish that into existence, because it's not going to happen. And as a result of that, 15 of the 22 goals that have been scored against the Leafs, he's been on the ice for. And is he the only person responsible? No. But if you can't look at that number and say that that's not a contributing factor, I'm sorry, but you don't watch enough of the Leafs.
Yeah, exactly. And there's going to be people, like, I've had this conversation with Armand many times, right? And there's a lot of other Leafs fans as well that look at the advanced stats and understand that Hall is an important part of the Leafs. He plays on the PK, like he has minutes, and he has like areas of his game that he's really good at, right? But and Liljegren, obviously he's had his troubles, right? But in these situations, right? If the Leafs don't lose those two goals, like, we'll talk about the Asimont goal as well, because I do believe that Hall also had a factor in that. That was also his fault, despite Sammy giving off an easy goal. He probably should have made that save. But I digress. Like, Hall, you can't have those situations where the Leafs are down 2 goals because of stupid, silly plays, despite of how well he plays in the other aspects of his game. But in this situation, where he's also not playing well in the other aspects of the game, what is he giving you? Is he just a PK specialist? We can't have that.
He gives us stuff to talk about. That's just not
something that we can do.
He gives us stuff to talk about, Harnish. That's what it is.
Jeez. And let's try. I want to talk about the Asimont goal, because I do want to talk about the way that Tampa is playing Justin Hall, right? I think they're purely picking off his man. But like that Asimont goal, right? That's another situation where Hall
just gets beat.
Overthinking. Exactly. Well, he overthinks, and Asimont, when he's in the neutral zone, Hall assumes that he's going to try to pinch and cut inside, whereas Asimont's like, no, I'm just staying on the outside. Hall completely turns around, and he has to try to find his man. Not only is he slow, but he's not going to be able to get to them.
No.
Get to him in time. And Asimont gets an easy goal. Like, he's given all the time in the world.
Yep.
Sammy, yes, he had to put his pads down. He had a
greater
of a hole in front of, like, that 5 goal. You could fit a watermelon through it. Like,
I could have slipped through his legs.
Yeah, it was ridiculous the amount of space that Sammy gave. First of all, in terms of like the empty net or parts of the net, right?
Yeah.
But that never should have been a situation in the first place, because Hall should have been on him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sammy, yes, he had a bad play, or he should have had an easy save on that. But
if Hall does his job, it doesn't have to be that kind of save. Also, JPD in the chat, Hall was on the ice for only 12:33, and he was a -3.
Yeah. Yikes,
buddy.
Right? Yikes. There's going to be changes made.
Yeah, there has to be.
Yeah.
Does he? You say that. Okay, Keith understands. Does he? Oh, well, Justin Hall's been a great player for us. Well, yes.
I don't care.
He has his moments where he's
find
great.
Something to work.
But, like, can we not? We can't work around that. We can't. That's a no for you. Like.
And I think, like, what a lot of people are going to say is shuffle up the lineups. I don't care. I think when you have a game like this, you got to send a message to your guy that, hey, you play like this, you're out of the lineup. I don't care. give a chance to Liljegren, and Liljegren had some sketchy moments last year as well. He isn't he's also prone to having these little brain farts that leads to situations that put the Leafs on gives like an odd man rush against the Leafs. So I'm not going to say he's the be end all like savior for the Leafs, but you got to give him a chance. Like look at Nyes, right? Nobody expected Nyes to be in this lineup. They thought that that you give the chance to the guys who have been in the Leaf sweater the entire season, but the guy got in with 10 games under his belt, and he has played phenomenally, and you're not going to take him out for Bunting.
Nope.
Is that something that anybody assumed before this series? Probably not, right?
We all hoped, but we didn't think that it was actually going to happen.
Exactly.
Also, let's not forget, Justin Hall also caused a power play against the Leafs in the first with the trip on Andrei Sergachev, not Andrei Sergachev, on Mikhail Sergachev. Like, it was Kucherov. It was Kucherov. I have it written down. Sorry. My writing is very small because there was a lot of notes. He does that egregious takedown, and then Alex Kerfoot also taking an egregious penalty, puck over the glass, kill me now. Now, good thing Tampa didn't score on the power play, but we shouldn't be taking silly things like that. There was no reason for that Kucherov takedown by Hall. Like, what are you doing with your stick in that moment? Now, I think the Kerfoot puck over the glass was definitely a mistake, but they're all mistakes. But guess what? That's still your job.
Exactly. And I think, you know what it is? I wrote this down because I really had to like just talk or write out my thoughts so I can have it all out there. But I think that the Tampa Bay has really just figured out Hall, where they understand that he is low in confidence. He's a little shaky in terms of his decision making, and it takes him like a split second. If you look at all of these plays, it seems like he takes like a split second, he overthinks it, and he makes the wrong decision at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that split second of indecisiveness is what Tampa is
they take advantage of
on right now.
Yep.
They are going after him, and they're pressuring him to make these decisions. Because listen, if you're a 50-50 player where you're making the right decision 50% of the time and 50 are the wrong, right? A wrong decision 50% of the time, force it. Force him to make those decisions, because 50% of it you're gonna win. And that's exactly what happened in these situations where they forced him to take stupid plays, and they forced him to turn over the puck. There was like, even apart from these goals, they pressure him, and a lot of the times he just either gets stripped or he makes a stupid pass, and Tampa has the puck.
Or both.
Exactly. And they just have him figured out. And I honestly, for his own good, he needs to be like sat.
It needs to be a conversation.
Thinks about it and figures it out.
It needs to be a conversation. And you know, maybe you're right. Maybe we do see some lineup changes, because I think maybe after today, Bunting gets back in.
You have to do that.
And I think maybe Justin Hall gets swapped out with Timothy Liljegren, because Gustafsson is actually still injured. I actually checked today. He's still listed as day-to-day.
I also don't want to see Gustafsson.
No, because he's a defensive liability. God bless his heart.
Yeah. He's a power play. Like, you're swapping out a penalty kill specialist with a power play specialist.
And the power play has been decent. Like, tonight, the Leafs power play looked so good, and they weren't able to capitalize, but like... Yeah. Holy cow.
The only reason Gustafsson was in there.
Really quick before we move on, I do want to say that, guys, we are raising money for Alphabet Sports Collective. I keep forgetting, and we're 20 minutes into this already. Oh, my gosh. We're raising money for Alphabet Sports Collective throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. ASC creates a safe and inclusive environment in hockey for folks of all sexual identities and gender expressions through education, community building, and mobilization. You can donate to Alphabet Sports Collective. SDPN, the mod for the chat, is actually very nicely posting all that in there. So if you guys would like to donate, please do. Also, make sure if it is your first time or second time or last time, or if you were just coming across this video, you hit like and subscribe, because we're going to be back on Saturday against Tampa, unfortunately, in Tampa, again, with the fans in their lawn chairs. Yeah. Anyway, back on target. Yes. There has to be lineup changes, and I imagine 100%. That after tonight's game, even though the Leafs actually played better throughout the game from the start of the starting horn to the last horn, they played much better than they have the last two games, because listen, the last two games were very exciting, and I'm sure we were all very ecstatic that they won in overtime, and it was dramatic and it was fun, and like I was in Maple Leaf Square for the last game, and it was unbelievable, and I cried and my sister cried and it was beautiful. And that's all well and good, but we have to win another one. And after how they played tonight, even though they played well, it's clear
in the
that
in the last 5 minutes specifically, but the rest of the game,
it's clear
question
that
marks.
maybe a little bit of a mix-up wouldn't be the worst thing. Not saying mix everything up, but like considerations, please. Considerations.
Exactly. And yeah, we're talking about Bunton. He's another guy that he was available today, right? He could have been in the lineup today, but Sheldon Keefe, sorry, he quoted, he said he'll be in the lineup, but just not tonight. So he understands that we need to have Bunton here. He's going to be a positive, but is just not tinkering with the lineup when things haven't worked.
Yes.
First of all, I think that is kind of a wrong mentality at this point, because we got the 2 wins. Did we deserve those 2 wins? Probably not. We got outplayed 5-on-5 for both of those 2 games. We kind of won because Vasi was a little leaky, right? If Vasi, and judging off this game, steps up and he becomes the Vasi that we all know and hate as Leafs fans, you got to make some changes. You got to change some stuff around, right? Like that second line last game, and today too, like with Nylander, or today too, it looked okay, but yeah, the last game, that second line has not produced, right? No. Nylander is a liability. Tavares defensively, he's having issues, and you got to make some kind of changes. Kerfoot, I know he got that goal, that game-winning goal last game. Today he has a stupid penalty. The Leafs were able to kill that off, right?
Thankfully.
Yeah, but he's another one of those guys where he's kind of been a liability. I'm looking at the expected goals, and I know that's not the best stat, especially when there's only 4 or 5 games played, right? But he's on the receiving end of a lot of issues, right? He's not producing much.
No.
And if you're trying to look at someone, I think Kerf is the first one you look at.
Interesting. So Kerfoot's the person you take out?
In my opinion, yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends. We have to see if Nyes is going to be able to play next game, because he did take a puck off the back of the leg. We have to see if Gio is going to play, because listen, if Gio is hurt, then we can't play him, and we're not going to take out Timothy Liljegren or take out Justin Hall to put in Timothy Liljegren when Mark Giordano's hurt, and we need to fill that gap too, right? Like, it's just I'm so glad that we don't have to watch like the post-game interviews, because kids, if you want to pull your bingo cards out, I'll give you some free spaces that they're going to say. It's a game of inches out there. That's going to be one. Played really hard all the way to the end. I thought we played great defensively. Jake McCabe looked great. I thought Sammy looked really solid. You know, it really is just a game of inches for a second time will also come out. Because while it is the same old song and dance, maybe we all sort of feared that this was coming, and there was more than one person on Twitter, including Flowbud's creator Joe Ferguson, that said, "I hate the familiar feeling that is slowly growing in my intestines." And it's true, because as the Leafs got closer and closer to the end of the game, it didn't feel like they were getting the bounces the way that they were in the last 2 games, right? There was how many flurries tonight in front of the net that didn't go their way. And I actually think maybe part of that is because there's too many people right in front of the net. Like, more than once tonight, there was 3 Leaf players within 3 feet of the blue paint, which is great. Yep. But at some point, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and you need to have a little bit of space to make things happen. Otherwise, all the puck does is bounce off of each other, right? Yep. The reason that the Leafs were able to get those goals in the last couple of games is because there is only 1 or 2 of them in the blue paint. But because that's how they've been able to score, now everybody's trying to get there, which, again, in concept, I understand because it's worked. But again, there's only so many cubic feet in front of the net that you can occupy, including Vasilevskiy and the other 3 Tampa players that are, essentially going to be there, right? So maybe having only 1 or 2 of them that are really skilled there, instead of everybody that has one of these on the front of their jersey hanging out in the blue paint, because at some point it does become too many cooks in the kitchen in front of the net.
No, I completely agree. You saw, like, even though the goal that we got last game with a Matthews tip off of Marner shot, that was Matthews alone in front of Vazzy and getting that tip, right? We know that Vazzy is leaky in terms of shots from range and then tips, right? That's the way that you beat Vasi at this point. It's kind
of
a given.
Crazy flurries in front of the net have worked too.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had a bunch of crazy flurries this game, and not really, nothing really went in. I mean, that first Leafs power play that they were on.
Oh my God! How many times did you go? Oh! How many times did you make a sound? Because there was
crazy.
It was
three or four great chances.
Around. Yeah, at least half a dozen in the first power play for sure. So
that's there's things like that where.
That's why I'm not mad. That's why I'm just like, I'm
played by the better goaltender.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Last game, Sammy steals it, and this game, Vasi steals it, and now we have to go back to Tampa. But like, kids, if you're listening, earmuff it for me. Let's just fucking beat them in Tampa.
Yeah. Can we talk about the refs though? I really want to rant about the refs. I'm ready to lay it off on them because when I was reading my notes on that power play, I remembered that it was supposed to be a 5-on-3, and I am again infuriated with a burning passion, and I hate the refs. I cannot believe what I saw today. So for context, it starts off with that first power play in the first period, right? Mm-hmm. It was a delayed penalty.
Yep.
Before Tampa got a touch, Matthews at the puck. He's driving into the Tampa zone, and he gets tripped.
Tink. Yep.
If we're really calling the buck, like, that should be a 5-on-3. No, that's another penalty. He
in the regular season, in the first 71 games of the season, yes, because the Leafs. Well, in the first 73 games of the season, no, because the Leafs didn't get a 5-on-3 until game 74. Right? So we can't even say in the regular season that would be a 5-on-3 because is it though? And it's super. What are the chances of it? Unless you do 2 puck over the glass penalties, you could commit manslaughter on the ice, and there's nothing that the refs are going to do. How many penalties went tonight that the ref just looked at it?
I have a list. Do you want me to go off?
Yes.
All right, I have a list.
Let's go.
So that was the first one. Okay.
Go from the 3 up. Go from 3. Go from like the.
You want to go 3 up?
Yeah. Go from like the not so bad miscalls to like the most egregious.
All right.
Let's go.
All right.
I want to count.
Let's do it. So then there was another miscall. This was a Cole tripping on Marner. Marner's in the Tampa zone, and Cole just outright trips him.
Yep.
This leads to an off-man rush, and guess what? Stammer is able to get a shot, hits it off the post. Thank God it didn't go in. But what are you looking at? The refs are looking at the play. They're seeing Marner go down, and they say, no, that didn't happen.
Yep.
Then the Maroon, the Maroon's last. I really have to wait on that.
Yes.
Okay, we fast forward into the third period.
Yeah.
The refs miss a tripping. Victor Hedman on Ryan O'Reilly.
That was
again,
bad.
I have a screenshot. I wish I could show you guys live, but
you can tweet it out.
I'm not even joking. The refs are a foot, 2 feet away from the situation.
Yep.
They're looking at it and they're like, no, it's not a penalty. I don't understand what you need to do. Right? Like at this point,
it's because it wasn't Tampa on the ice. It wasn't the Tampa on the ice. It was all John Cena. No, they were all John Cena. They couldn't see him.
And then right after that, this was a Colton Achari, or sorry, Colton is holding Achari stick near the bench. The refs, forget about just looking at it. They're trying to separate them. They're literally pulling them apart, and they're like, yeah, good one. You're not holding Achari's stick. I guess, like, or you're not holding, Achari's stick. You're just being a prick. Who cares? We're just having fun today. And then after Matthews scores the goal to get the Leafs within 1, right after that, there's 3 minutes left. Or I think there was 2 minutes, just under 2 minutes after that, right? Nyes takes a high stick to the face.
Bad high stick. Yep.
How do you do that?
Very intentionally.
Like, I understand the refs not wanting to get involved and not wanting to impact the play, but why have you there in the first place? Because clearly you're not you're not there to enforce anything. You're just I watch the UFC. Give them UFC gloves and let them fight at that point. Throw 6 man on the ice. I don't care. Keep Sammy in the net. You're clearly not doing your job. So why does it matter having you there? Are you just like there? Like you have like Tampa jerseys underneath? Like what's going on? It's ridiculous. And let's.
They're there for all the puck over the glass penalties.
Let's talk about that whole shenanigan that happened with the Maroon, Gio, and Matthews. Okay.
Yep.
I am ready for this. So this is in the dying seconds of the second. It's
literally,
I'm pretty sure play got called. Like the refs blew the whistle. Maroon goes and delivers a late cross check to Gio straight on the numbers from behind into the boards. All right. First off, let's talk about that. Just let me make a comment about this. I had to look up the rules. I looked up rule 43, check in from behind, right? A check from behind is a check delivered to a player who is not aware of the impending hit. Did you get that? So Gio, I'm pretty sure he wasn't looking at the play, right? So he wasn't able to protect himself.
No. All right, no idea it was coming. That's why he just sort of collapsed. Like a sandcastle being hit by a wave.
That's one check. All right, that's one check. Yep. Now, contact is made on the back part of the player's body. It was on the numbers, right? All right, another check. When a player intentionally turns his body to create, it's not penalty. Gio didn't turn his body. He had no idea it was gone.
He was mid-turn. He was in the process of turning, but he wasn't.
Yeah, but it wasn't intentional. No. So, check. That's from the rule books that I'm looking at. That's checking from behind. And let me look at this. So there's no minor penalty for a checking from behind, but there is a major. Interesting. A player who cross-checks, pushes, or charges an opponent from the behind who is unable to protect or defend himself shall be assessed a major penalty. This penalty applies anywhere on the playing surface. What happened?
No call on the play.
You're looking at it.
No call on the play.
And the worst part was, someone tweeted out, the refs saw it, and you know what the reaction was? When they saw the hit, they're like, so they clearly reacted to the play. Reacted to the hit, and they're like, yeah, guys, come on. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We're just playing. This isn't a big deal. And to make matters worse, Maroon, being the little grimy piece of shit that he is, he does the same play that Stammer made. And I think it was the last game or whatever, where as soon as he knows that a penalty's happening, who does he go after? Mr. number 34, Austin Matthews. Let's go get him. Let's drag him down to the penalty box with us, baby. Because that's what we do. We're Tampa, and we're grimy and dirty like that. That should have been a 5-on-3. It should have been a major. Like, not only does he cross-check Gio on the numbers, that's a major. He roughs up Matthews on the play. And he's swearing and yelling and saying F you to the refs while he's getting called. How does he get away with this?
And he's only called for the roughing. Let's not forget. He's called for the roughing.
On the Matthews play, right?
Yeah, it was called on the retaliatory aftermath.
How does that happen?
It wasn't called on the actual hit.
I don't understand, man. And I listen, hockey Twitter gets off about Leafs fans crying about reffing. Look at that play and tell me what happened there. I cannot believe the shit that they're getting away with.
I wish I had an answer for you because it is befuddling. There's no answer.
Calls that weren't called for the Leafs.
There's no answer.
Are you kidding me, man?
Realistically, teams are going to make plays like that. And if the Leafs are able to get through to the next round, there's going to be even more of that from Boston, because even though I think Boston is maybe a teensy, and I mean fractionally smaller, they are just as bad and maybe even greasier all throughout the lineup. It's not just a couple guys. There's some guys on Tampa that aren't really like that. Not many of them, but everybody on.
Oh, you have Marchand on the team. Just enjoy. Get ready for it.
Yeah,
you're not having a fun time.
And listen, there were some clean hits in this game, and there were some not as clean hits. And I'm not saying that the Maroon hit was super filthy. I think that if I'm going to play devil's advocate here for just a second, I didn't like it, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. Mm-hmm. I can see Tampa fans being like, well, you're going to play to the whistle. Okay, fair enough. There's, 1.4 seconds left. And if that gets your cookies off, then whatever. But I do think that maybe he knew Maroon was there, but I don't think he anticipated being absolutely crunched. Mark Giordano can get hit multiple times in a game and be fine. I've never seen him just sort of collapse like that. Like he
when you have a body like Maroon hitting you,
he just falls.
It's bad.
Right? It's not like he falls and
to get
bounces
up
back.
too.
Yeah.
It
took
him
the
a while to
trainer
get
had
up.
to come over and help him out, and he didn't return for the first 3 minutes of the third period.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think
we were lucky to see him back out there.
I think it was
honestly.
maybe a little bit of an unfortunate play in terms of, I think Maroon is significantly bigger than Giordano, and maybe don't get me wrong, I think Maroon to some degree is a bit of a dirty player, but he's not he's not like Greasy where he's gonna go up and just like wipe your face off the edge of the earth. Like Corey Perry is here on the Grease level. Patrick Maroon is high, but he's not the same. And I don't think he would make the same kind of play. Okay.
Well,
so
we're comparing the worst of the worst.
Yes.
Like that,
if it's a
with
sliding
Marchand,
scale, it's a sliding scale, right? And even like,
but
I
if
would
you
say,
look,
sorry,
go ahead.
Again, I don't like the call, and I think it should have been called, if not, I don't even know. Like it could have been called cross-checking. If it was another foot away, it probably could have been called for boarding, which would have been another penalty.
Yeah.
But, the fact of the matter is that it's a retaliatory thing. And, like, why is... we talked earlier, you brought it up about, the ref having the stick of the Tampa player, because he had a Chari's stick, and he's got one hand on the stick trying to get it back. And that's the second time this series where a ref has had something of Tampa where the Tampa playing is either hitting the other player, and nothing's called on the penalty, right? Like the Stamkos punch to the face on Austin Matthews while he's picking up sticks. Like
Austin Matthews literally has both gloves on.
Yeah.
Stammer,
and now
both
that's a
gloves
different
down,
that's a different game now, right? But
yeah,
just as an example of the fact that there are these plays that when Sheldon Keefe brings up, the Tampa players are manipulating it, that's what he's talking about, right? He's talking about the players that are able to go and do these things and have nothing happen. Because if Michael Bunting did that, he would be suspended again, right? If Kyle Clifford did that, he would be suspended again. If who else has been suspended recently? Cale Makar. Just kidding.
Yeah, you got to.
And I'm not saying that they're all the same player, but the fact of the matter is that it's unfortunate that play happened, and I wish that a different play call would have been called. And even though I think the Leafs are 5-0 with the refs that they had from tonight's game in past playoff series.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean everything.
You know what it was about that play? Like, I would be okay if they, let's say if they didn't call it a 5-minute major, right? Let's say if they did call it a 2-minute, at least get something on it, right? The worst part of that whole situation was the fact that they didn't review it, right? This is a precedent that they set. I believe it was in the last game. I can't remember the exact situation that it happened, but they called a 5-minute major because in a 5-minute major you're able to review it and determine what happens,
and you can
go back. Exactly, you can go back and reduce it to a 5 or 2-minute. Right? In this play, I don't understand the logic behind not calling it a 5 and trying to figure it out. Because clearly a lot happened. So why not take the time, take a step back, and let's review the tapes. Let's figure out what happened specifically. Let's figure out the infractions, and let's sort it out, right? If they at least spent that amount of time and tried, I guess I would feel a little bit better knowing that there was some kind of effort made to actually understand and see what happened. It really seemed like they just did not want to blow the whistle at all, and they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna look at it, and let's pretend it didn't happen, or pretend it didn't happen, and let's continue on play.
But that's gonna happen more and more as the series goes on.
100%,
right?
100%.
And
the Leafs have to be aware.
Every single hockey fan, regardless of what color and logo is on the front of your jersey, everybody knows that they call lots of penalties at the beginning of the series, and then for whatever reason they're like, let them play, and it creates this unrealistic expectation and this unfollowable set of rules, because what was a penalty in game 1 is now just nothing. It's not even called. There's no whistle blown on the play when it happens in game 5. And I'm not saying that the refs have an easy job by any means. But the fact of the matter is that there were some egregious calls that were missed tonight on both sides. There was more than one trip that the Leafs took on Tampa, and there was more than one hook that was missed. And again, instead of talking about the Leafs falling short, we're talking about the referees. And it was Tampa Bay playing Toronto, not Tampa Bay versus Toronto and the refs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It completely undermines like how well Tampa played.
Yep.
Because Tampa, let's not kid ourselves. For the majority of the game, 5-on-5, they were the better team. I can't remember the exact shots on goal, but Tampa was leading that through and through. Yeah, they were leading that through and through. Yep. I think it's like at least like a 10 shot difference or something like that. So let's not kid ourselves. 5-on-5, just like the last two games, Tampa was winning it, right? Yep. I just wish that we'll forget about the reffing situation. It's gonna happen with every series. It's gonna happen with every team, like you mentioned. That's kind of why after game one, I was just like, you know what? I hate ref talk. Every team has to deal with it. Just forget about it and move on. Yep. That's why I really didn't talk about refs in game one at all. But it's just today was just egregious, so I had to get it off my chest.
No, I get that.
Like you said, it's going to be an issue going forward as well. Oh, definitely.
Good.
Definitely.
I'm glad.
I feel a little bit better. Thank you. Thank you for letting me.
You're welcome.
Have a free therapy
No
session.
problem. That is free. Yes, absolutely. Because realistically, the refs are the refs, and this is not news. This is not new. Yeah. Where the calls are inconsistent. This is not new to this year or last year or the year before that or the 5 years before that, okay? And I get that. And the Leafs have done a good job of adjusting to that this season. I think that especially this playoff series, we have done a lot more pushing back and not taking the crap of the other team and not just laying down. Like, there are certainly moments when the Leafs decide not to reciprocate, and I think that that's the best choice. I really do. Because realistically, we're already in a game like tonight, we're having trouble scoring, and taking silly penalties like an egregious trip or like a puck over the glass, while it didn't impact the game tonight, it was a bit of a momentum swing, and
those are important.
And those are not. And listen, puck over the glass is gonna get called even in Game 7 overtime when it's 5-on-4. Like, you can't take that. You can't take that. It's not good.
I don't know what he was looking at either. It looked like he was looking at his glove as if like he was blaming some kind of equipment malfunction, but you can't be taking that Kerfoot. Like, you know better. Yep. Let's not do this. They were lucky. I think the Leafs actually had 2 chances on that penalty kill, and they kept the Tampa shotless.
Yeah, like,
but still,
both of the special teams for Toronto were really good, even though they weren't able to produce. Like, both of the power plays that happened looked really good, even though they weren't able to produce. Because again, how many chances were there? There was just too much traffic in front of the net. Because that traffic in front of the net when you're trying to shoot from far away is good. But when you're close to the net, it's not good to have too many people there because there's too much shit in the way. And it, at the end of the game, like you said, they make a great push in the last 5 minutes, and that's great. And if we could get that level of effort from some players, maybe named William Nylander, for the whole game, it would be great, because there was lots of moments tonight where the Leafs were getting caught flat-footed, and they were getting caught behind the play because they were puck watching. And it's funny because at the beginning of the game, they looked really confident. And then as soon as Cirelli scored, it was like they all went, oh no. And it never really felt like, until they I can't believe they pulled the goalie so early. Until they got the goal, Austin Matthews' goal with whatever it was, 3.5 minutes to go, 3 minutes and 33 seconds to go.
Yep.
Then they get more life again. But it's like, okay, but where was the middle half hour, guys? Like, Austin Matthews didn't have a shot on goal in the second period, and that's not good enough. Even though he was great last game and he scored tonight, like, I don't know what needs to be changed. I don't know what needs to be moved around. I don't know what lines need to be, put in the blender and hit on puree to try and get him some more space, because, we had home ice advantage tonight, and last night, and when we were on the road for the last 2 games, like, the Leafs were getting more opportunities and having better entries with Austin Matthews, and I don't understand what happened tonight with that. I don't get it. I'm going to have to watch the game again.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that. The problem that I saw tonight was you see bursts of brilliance. Like, Nylander, there was a whole rush. I believe it was in that second period. It led to the Leafs hemming the Tampa in their zone for like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
almost 2 full.
There was
minutes.
A couple times that happened tonight.
Yeah, but there's plays like that where Nylander makes some great plays, and he's able to push the puck out and start a whole rush, right? And there's times that Matthews has done that. There's times that Tavares has done that. The first goal was based off of Tavares' ability to drive the puck, right? Yep.
And lure
people. But
the
problem is, it's not sustained.
Yeah.
You see short bursts of it. You see the potential.
Yep.
But then the rest of the game, It's brain farts and lack of effort. And I
Yep.
think that's specifically with Willie. Let's talk about him, right? Um, that's been a recurrent issue, I feel like, throughout his entire career, right? There's been many times where you don't where you're criticizing him for his efforts 100% of the game, right? He has bursts of it, but sometimes he just doesn't have that effort in him. And hey, maybe that leads to a chance for Tampa. Maybe you just can't capitalize on a play for yourself, right?
Yep.
But you can't be doing that against a team like Tampa. You can't do that against a team like Boston. You can't do that against any team in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yep. And
They're
it's
all elite teams.
Yep. And you need to be scoring more if you want to win, because at the end of the day, even though there was a couple of missed calls, the Leafs didn't lose because of the refs. The Leafs didn't lose.
100%.
The Leafs lost because they didn't get enough pucks on net. They didn't get enough shots on goal. They didn't, even though they had some sustained zone pressure, and they have a couple really good chances. And maybe if we do the win-o-meter, maybe they do win it a bunch of times, because there were a lot of really, really, really close chances where people were literally in the stands like this because of the flurries in front of the net. And maybe on a different day you roll the dice, and in another Doctor Strange universe you have a different result, and there's 4 of us on the stream instead of just the 2 of us, right? But at the end of the day, you need to score more goals than your opponent, and the Leafs were down for the majority of this game, and they weren't able to capitalize until the last 5 minutes of the game. And if you're going to win a Stanley Cup, if you're going to move to the second round even, you can't just go quiet, and Morgan Rielly has been the person that's been legitimately dragging the Leafs into the last 2 games.
Yeah,
and
100%.
With his big black and now turning yellow eye, he has been doing that. And Austin Matthews has looked good last game too. But like, Ryan O'Reilly had a decent night tonight, but he's gone kind of quiet the last couple games a little bit. And now I don't know if that's just because Tampa's playing well enough that, he's just being shut down or what. But maybe it is time for the blender a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's a line mates, right? Like you mentioned, in the eye test, Ryan O'Reilly has looked great. He's looked fantastic. But
sorry.
No worries. But even like the last couple of games where, let's say, Nyes is on his line, that third line is looking fantastic. Ryan O'Reilly's able to man that, and you have a completely different game. Now I'm looking at this game today, and obviously it's the advanced stats aren't the be end all, right? But that Kerfoot, O'Reilly, Achari line, their expected goals for was a .06. Their expected goals against was a .07. Like, and apart from the advanced stats, let's look at the eye test. They were getting hemmed in.
Yeah.
They were not looking good out there. There was a couple chances, and mainly those chances came from Ryan O'Reilly really showing his heroics, right? Yep. That fourth line is also looking bad the entire series. They are not producing anything up there. And I understand that their deployment is like a defensive-minded line, but I feel like they're not even excelling in that aspect either. They're just too slow, and they're just not able to do anything.
Which is why maybe we need to have a conversation about, if Bunting does come back, then maybe that's where he does in fact slide in.
Do you think he slides in for Lafferty instead?
I mean, I don't know if it's Lafferty, because Lafferty is just as quick.
Or with like Czar or something like that.
Yeah,
too.
I think it might be Zach Aston Reese. I think it might have to be, because I think David Kampf is too strong to take out. You can't take him out, even though he hasn't scored a goal. No. Like, he scored a goal last playoffs. I was trying to manifest a David Kampf goal tonight. I really was. I think if you bring Bunting back in, you can't put him back up with what Marner and Matthews, or even Nylander and Matthews, because Yarncroke is there and he's looked so good. You can't move him.
Oh yeah.
Especially knowing that Matthews literally requested to play with him. And Nyes has looked phenomenal on the wing with Tavares. So, like, if you're going to bring Michael Bunting back in, I think you maybe have to consider putting him in the bottom 6, where he's not going to be in charge of as many, as much offense. He'll still have an opportunity to, but then you have to try and get him on the third line, because if you have him out there against Tampa's fourth line with Perry and Belmar and who's the other jerk face on the fourth line there?
Belmar, Perry, Maroon.
Yes. Right? Maroon. That's just... all you're going to do is have Michael Bunting sitting in the penalty box the whole game.
That's the biggest thing. So that was my whole concern with seeing seeing him on that bottom six or maybe even on that fourth line, like some people were talking about. If that whole line is there to play defensive hockey, right? You're there in your own zone trying to keep the puck out of the net, right? With the way that Bunton plays on the edge, sometimes it can go your way, sometimes it can't or it won't, right?
Yep.
And sometimes he takes stupid penalties. And in those situations, that's going to kill you, right? So I think if you really want to have a line change, and I think that they need to bring Bunton in. I don't think it's going to be a 1-for-1 change. Slot someone out of the lineup, slot him into that position. I think you're going to have to play around the lines a little bit. Keefe is going to have to make some magic work. Maybe if you want to take out Czar and Lafferty, you throw Kerfoot down in that fourth, and then you put Bunce beside O'Reilly and Achari. That's one way that I know Armand was pretty hyped about that. He was saying that that's a way that makes the most amount of sense.
Could definitely be a possibility.
And I completely agree, because that way, like, if you just take out Kerfoot, you're taking out a guy that I believe plays on our PK as well, right? So he plays on our power play too, our second unit power play. Sorry. So with taking out Czar or Lafferty, they're not really in that situation, right? Or they're more dispensable.
Yeah.
And you throw Kerfoot back down there and then put Bunton, and I think Bunton can really get something going with O'Reilly, right? If you have like a superstar forward or a winger with Riley, you can see that it works, right? When he was alongside Tavares, that kind of worked. No. When he was with Knies,
he's worked in lots of places. The problem is can he stay out of the box? And it's not even that he has to behave. It's if he farts too loudly, he's gonna go.
Mm-hmm,
and he can't.
He's going to be on a short leash.
And
Keith has to drill that point into it.
No, he's you know what it is? It's gonna be one of the collars with the leash built in, like the handle. It's gonna be one of those. Also, we're nearing the end of the stream. We've been going for a very long time, so we should probably finish up with our last questions. Who do you think? 2 questions. First of all, is the corgi gonna end up being right?
What was the corgi pick?
Do you know what the corgi pick is? Do you know what the corgi video is?
No, what happened?
Essentially, the corgi picked that the Tampa was going to win the first game. Leafs were going to win 3 in a row. Tampa was going to win 2 more, and then they were going to go to Game 7, and Leafs were going to win. It might be that the corgi's right.
My heart can't handle that. So for the sake of my heart,
the corgi is becoming more and more accurate, and I don't like it. Yeah. You need to look up this video. Just look up corgi
you gotta send this
Leafs.
to me afterwards.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, it's on Twitter. It's not hard to find. Okay. It's not hard to find.
I'll take a look.
And who do you think, who had the best game on the Leafs tonight? Let me ask that question. Let's end on a positive note. Because, we're going into Saturday. It's going to be Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. Maybe the Leafs will win it in Tampa. Wouldn't that be a wonderful feckin' surprise?
You know what I think it is? I think it's Matthew Knies. Matthew Knies had a fantastic game today. And because you saw brilliance from certain players, right? You saw Ryan O'Reilly, again, another shout for that. He played fantastic. But his, again, line issues. I think Knies played a consistent game through and through. He was able to win puck battles. He was able to play hard on Tampa. And he had that huge block shot. Like, he put his body on the line out there. That's the kind of shit that I love to see. Sammy, I think if you put a 1B on that, it's going to be Ryan O'Reilly. But I'm going for the young guy. Let's go, Matthew Knies.
Let's go. Have a nice day.
What do you think?
Very nice. I think Jake McCabe had the best game tonight.
He had some big hits.
He had some big hits tonight. He was so good defensively. He had a couple dump-ins that were really good, a couple really good possessions, a couple really good passes that led to really good chances, even though he wasn't able to get an assist or anything. He's somebody that has been sort of spotty this playoffs. Like, I don't know if it's nerves or just news to the team or both. He's had really good moments, and he has had good games. He brought the physicality today. He laid out a couple of really solid open ice hits that were just gorgeous. And I kind of miss Rasmus Sandin for that. I'm sorry to bring him up.
I know.
And it was nice to see the Leafs lay out a couple of really big open ice hits to start the game out and make Tampa think about maybe entering with the puck and make them think a little bit more. So I want to give my stick tap to Jake McCabe. Hopefully
one quick thing.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Shen didn't have any big hits tonight. Because each game, feel like he's had some massive
had a
hit
couple
here and there, and McCabe kept yeah, but the big ones that are like, oh my god,
yeah,
like
no,
that
McCabe did that tonight.
McCabe did that, yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like Shen rough up Maroon a little bit, man. Go match up against the big rig and teach him a lesson.
Because that's what they want. That's what they want. They want that, and we can't give in to their terrorist demands.
There was a couple times he laid some big hits this series, and he didn't get called for it. Do it smart. Do it smart.
Is that
throw that big dump truck?
Listen, if you can figure out a way to actually convince the refs to throw us a couple of bones that way, that would be great. But I think that it is well established that that's not going to happen, and we just need to suck it up and get through it, just like everybody in the chat is saying. So to finish off the stream, Leafs lose, unfortunately, 4-2 at home, Game 5. Blah, hate it. Moving on. Saturday in Tampa with the lawn chairs, Amalie Arena. I think the Leafs might take it in 6. I really hope. They're undefeated so far there. Let's not say it too early. Let's hope that was the beginning of the series trades off with both teams shelling each other. And now the last 2 games, it's been battle of the goalies with Sammy winning last game and Vasi winning this game. And let's hope that the Leafs can make some progress, get a couple more goals, couple more bounces, and bring her on home after Game 6 on Saturday in Tampa. So for Game Over Toronto, it has been wonderful to have you here. My name is Lauren Williamson. You can find me on Twitter at Lauren6. Harnish Patel, won't you please?
My name's Harnish. You can find me on Twitter at Harnish_Patel98.
Yes. And again, if you guys want to follow SDPN, if you like this video, please do. Please subscribe. We are going to have all of your playoff game overs, not only here, but we have Winnipeg and Edmonton as well. And of course, if you are able to donate, please consider donating to Alphabet Sports Collective. The links are in the chat. We will see you Saturday night, everybody. See you then.
Good night.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.